for the critics, my words are like physics, a force that they can't stop. They just don't get it, I think they forget I'm not done till I'm on top. I know I was born for this. I know I was born for this. I believe we can write a story.
Let me tell you guys the story of the time that a lot of my sailors' personal items got thrown in the trash can. It was a problem, right? I laugh about it now because we had to come through it. It was one of the most challenging times of my career when I had to really not be afraid to step up and do the right thing. And of course, it was all out of control. Let me take you back. At the time, I was the command master chief of the USS Ashland, Sasebo, Japan. We were forward deployed. Our job at this time was we were coming out of the shipyard. We had been tied up next to a berthing barge. A berthing barge is where the sailors sleep because the ship will not have hotel services. There will not be flushing water for the commodes. There will not be drinking water for the water fountains. There will not be hot water to run for the showers on the ship. The ship is essentially shut down for repairs. We're working on this ship all day, every day to make the ship better. Us, the contractors, the Japanese ship repair force, all of us are working together. So the Navy brings this berthing barge alongside. Typically, when you're in the yards, you lose a lot of your camaraderie. You lose a lot of your ship's, I would say, identity during this period because everyone is so disaggregated. My chief's mess discussed this before we went to the yards. And because one of the things that people do typically is they look at giving the sailors back their BAS money, and then the sailors can leave the ship during lunchtime and go ashore. And they can walk to the galley on base, or they can go to the food court or wherever they want to eat. My chief's mess and I discussed it, and we decided that we would recommend against doing that because we wanted to feed everybody on the berthing barge. We wanted to retain our crew identity because when sailors leave the ship during lunch, they go to these other areas and they start to mess with other sailors from other ships, and you possibly get cross pollination, and they might get exposure to some ideas or things that you don't want at your command. We wanted to keep our crew in a tight knit group because I'd been on the ship about a year on board Ashland. We were really starting to do really, really good. As we were going into the yard period, we knew we had about a 4-month yard period. And coming out of the yard period, we had the opportunity for a very big inspection called the Edward F. Ney inspection. This is a supply inspection. So our supply department, I did a video previously about how important supply is on board the ship to the ship company and to everybody on the boat. If the mess decks and the supply department does a good job, it will positively affect the morale for the whole crew, period. And our team was doing such a good job that we had become a candidate for the Edward F. Ney Supply Award. Well, looking at the calendar, that Ney Award was going to run the last week we were coming out of the yards, and it was going to be on top of our light off assessment, which is where our engineering department, after having the whole engineering plant, which was a diesel plant, having that whole plant tore up for the yard period, was going to have to put everything back together and then show the afloat training group that they were prepared to start the engines up and get ready to go to sea. And light off assessment is notoriously one of the most challenging inspections for Navy surface ships because if you don't do good, you don't get to move forward to the next thing. My captain, I remember the CO called me up to his stateroom and he's like, Master Chief, I don't think we should take this Ney Award on because that same week we've got to move off the berthing barge. We've got light off assessment. Do we really want to have the Ney Award? I went back down, talked to the Chiefs mess, and the Chiefs were like, let's do it. We can prepare for this. We've got 4 months. We'll work together as a team. We'll deconflict. And worst case scenario, we don't get the Ney Award, right? And so our mantra became the captain took our recommendation and he said, okay, let's do it. And our drumbeat for the next 4 months of the yard period was we want to do good at LOA, which means we wanted to pass LOA. And that was our goal for every inspection on board this ship. We wanted to have no redos. We did not care about getting 5 gold stars. It was not our priority to ace the thing. I mean, and I will tell you, because my past experience as an afloat training group assessor, I knew there was no such thing as acing the test. We're going to find things, right? They're going to find things. The best thing you can do is not have any surprises. So as they find things, you could say, yes, we know about that. And here's our documentation. Or no, we did not know about that because that's a new occurrence because of something that happened recently, but it's easily addressable or whatever it is. And the goal is to pass the event. That was always our strategy, right? We did not want to lose our minds about getting a perfect score. We just wanted to pass. That was our Chiefs message job. So for LOA, our goal was to do good at LOA. That was our goal. But then we said, and we want to win the freaking nay, right? We didn't use the word freaking, but we said that was our mantra for the whole yard period. We're going to do good at LOA. We're going to win the freaking nay. And that was our drum beat. So coming through the yard period, and we're getting to the end, and we're down to that last week. What happens on surface ships in particular, especially the LSD platform, is the amphibious gators, uh, the XOs and COs fleet up. What that means is the person who's the executive officer will do typically 18 months. Then they'll go on hiatus for 3 months. And then they'll come back and they will do 18 months as the commanding officer. And in between that hiatus, the new inbound XO will come on board and serve with the outgoing CO for 3 months. At this time, it's important to know that I'm currently going through the hiatus of one of my XOs, which means my outgoing XO is currently on hiatus. I have a new XO who's been there maybe a week. And then, of course, I got my CO who I've had now for about a year. We've got a pretty good relationship, pretty good rapport, and we're talking about really everything. Excuse me. This week, it's a big deal. We have got on this day, right? I mean, it's like Wednesday. It's Wednesday. On this day, we have got to move off the berthing barge. Okay, so the whole crew has got to be off the berthing barge on a Wednesday. We have got to execute the NA award inspection, which is a 1 day inspection. And we have the light off assessment team on board working with our engineers. Our engineers for the past week have been working around the clock. They've been pretty much 3 section duty, working around the clock. So they have not had a lot of free time. In the engineering department, I have a top snipe. He's a master chief. And I have a supply department LCPO. He's a senior chief. And then my senior listed watch bill coordinator is also a senior chief. And these 3 people matter a lot to this story. So the day comes for the NA, and we're doing LOA, and we got to get off the berthing barge. That morning, the captain and I and the XO are talking, and the captain basically says, Master Chief XO, you know the 3 things we got going on today. I'm ready for the in brief at 8 o'clock for the NA award. Do we have any concerns? I tell him, I said, no, sir. Crew members the night before and leading up to the NA award, we had crew members volunteering time to help beautify our mess decks and our wardroom and our chief's mess. We had not served a meal on our mess decks for the previous 4 months because all of our meals have been on the berthing barge. So that morning or that day, lunch was going to be the first meal we served on board the ship since going into the yards. There was no breakfast. Breakfast was on the berthing barge. Our lunch was going to be the first meal actually on board the ship. And we were in briefing the NA team at 8 o'clock in the morning, right? So that was one. But we finished up the mess decks the night before, and my senior chief had everything ready to go. It looked great in there and was ready to show the crew a whole new mess decks and to show this inspection team. Then we had to move all the food over, and we had to make sure everything was ready to cook lunch, which they were already cooking at that point for that day. The LOA had started the night before. And so they were essentially on their second day of LOA as we were running a full engineering inspection. And then, of course, we had to get off of the berthing barge because the fleet activity Sasebo team was coming to get the birthing barge on Thursday to take the birthing barge to go somewhere else. So we had to get off the birthing barge on Wednesday before we went home, right? The captain says it's a big day. Understood, sir, but working toward this day for a long time. And I think we're tracking. I remember telling him I think we're tracking well for the Mestex and for the name. 8 o'clock is going to be our end brief for that. Light off assessments going well. I think they're doing good. They're holding their own. I'll check in on that later today, and we'll get off the birthing barge. XO and the new XO have been there again, relatively short period of time. Piece is understood. We go up to officers call where you have all of the department heads and senior leaders for each department there. And of course, engineering is not there because they're busy already with LOA. Supply is not there because they're busy with the name, right? And XO basically puts out to everybody, all right, everybody, got a lot going on. We got to get the Mastex ready to go for the Nay. Everybody supporting that. Make sure you guys stay out of the Mastex or whatever it is until the inspection is done. And support supply and support engineering. Whatever they need, they've got the lead. And by the way, we've got to be off the birthing barge by close of business today. That's what he puts out. Now, close of business to a lot of people can mean different things. To me, close of business is when we're done. That's what it means to my Chiefs mess. Close of business is when we're done. Okay. But it can mean a lot of things to a lot of different people. That little communication is going to matter later on. So I'll go back, leave, department head, muster, whatever you want to call it, khaki call. Everyone takes off. Me and the XO head down to make sure supply is ready. Everyone's falling into the wardroom for the end brief for the Nay. Go up, we get the captain, bring him down. End brief goes well, and away everything goes. And literally, as we're doing the Nay end brief, I had walked from we had a cut through between the Chiefs mess and the wardroom through this little scullery, right? I'm cutting through the scullery from the Chiefs mess to the wardroom. And one of my machinist mate chief, my A gang chief, is in the scullery wrenching on something. Like, what are you doing? He's like, man, we still tightening up all the pipes for all this water work. So we were literally tightening up piping still in the galleys the morning of the Nay end brief coming out of the yard period to do this Nay thing, right? I mean, it was by the skin of our teeth. You couldn't do it any closer because it's just how it works. So we go do the end brief. Everyone looks happy. Go. From that point, I just monitor the day. I make sure that everyone's getting out of the birthing barge. I recognize that my engineers are not off the birthing barge and that I have other supplies not off the birthing barge. People focusing on the Nay and LOA are not off the birthing barge. So I touch bases with my senior chiefs and I touch base with my other mass chief. Say, guys, we got to get off the birthing barge today. They're coming to take that barge tomorrow. And they all said, we will be off the barge today. We promise, but that's not our priority right now. Understood. Check. Got it. Roger that. That's not the priority right now, but I need you off the birthing barge. Lunch goes phenomenally well, right? On our new Mestex. Looks great. Food is delicious. Everyone's excited. Everyone's happy. Birthing barge is looking pretty good. It's around 2:30, 3 o'clock. And I have a first class petty officer who's not happy with an evaluation that he got. I think it was a transfer eval. He was not happy with his evaluation. So he comes to see me and he wants to talk about his eval. And I'm actually, I think it's around dinner time later in the day. And mind you, I have no plans to go anywhere. This is a big day. Honestly, I might even sleep on the ship that night. Living in Japan, my house is about a 10-minute walk from the ship, but it was not uncommon for us to work till 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night. It's a big day. And so I'm content with being on the ship as things play out. I'm not trying to pressurize anything extraordinary because my sailors, my team have been working towards this day for a long time. The best thing I can do as a leader is to allow them to do their work, right? This first class petty officer is mad about his evaluation, wants to talk to me, and we're having a very direct conversation. It's later in the evening. It might even be after dinner. I don't even remember what time it is. I just remember as I'm talking with this first class, my senior chief watch bill coordinator comes by my office and my door is open. Typically, my door is closed if I'm having a closed door conversation, but it's open. So he walks up and looks in my door, and I can see he's like, CMC, you got a minute? And I'm like, hey, senior, I appreciate you, brother, but not right now. Let me finish this conversation, and then I'll come find you. He's like, all right. And I can tell that he's anxious about something. And he leaves. And probably like 30 minutes later, because this first class is really upset about his eval, about a half an hour later, my top snipe comes up and he's like, Master Chief, this is way, way bad. Way, 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 way bad. And I was like, what's now he doesn't do that typically, just so you know. Like that's a big indicator for me that there is something way, way bad going on because he's in the middle of LOA. If he's stopping what he's doing for LOA, which is essentially running the largest department on the ship through one of the biggest inspections of our ship's training cycle, to come up to my office and tell me something way, way bad is happening, it's probably bad. I said, what's going on? What is it? PS or first class, we're done. We're done. I got to hear what Master's got to say. He says, they're on the berthing barge right now, throwing everybody's stuff in the trash can. And I said, what do you mean? He says, the XO is walking through the berthing barge with all the department heads, and they are bagging up all the sailors' items, everything. And there's a line of essentially a conga line of sailors passing all these bags to the dumpsters on the pier. I said, what? He said, yeah. Okay, I'll go look into it. He said, all right, thanks. So I get up, I go down to the berthing barge. As I'm walking down to the boat deck to go to the berthing barge, I see the trail of sailors going down to the dumpsters, and they're laughing. And they're like, Master Chief, we're throwing everyone's stuff away. And I was just like, oh my God. And they were all laughing just because of the sheer, I mean, it's crazy to think about doing this, but this is what's happening, right? I mean, just stuff's going. And this is all kinds of crap. I mean, blankets and sheets and just all kinds of things that we had not quite done yet because we were focusing on other things. It was going to get done, but we were happy to do it later on that day, or even we were going to get it done. It would have gotten done. But XO, I get down there and I see the XO, and he's got a trail of department heads with him. And he's walking berthing to berthing. And as he's walking berthing to berthing, he's just telling them all to bag everything up and throw it all away. And I walk in, and I'm a short guy. You can't tell. I'm not very tall. And my XO at the time is very tall. And I walk in, and he's like, hey, Master Chief, how you doing? I said, hey, sir, how are you? He's like, oh, CMC, I told everybody I wanted to be off here by close of business. And that's what I meant. So they're going to learn that when I say something, this is what we get. We get off. I said, well, sir, I appreciate that, but we've got a lot going on today and right now. We were going to get off here later. He's like, well, we're going to do it right now, do it like this, and then we'll just go from there. I said, okay. So he's there with all his department heads. Of course, he's not been on the ship very long at this point. We don't have really, neither here nor there. This is what's happening. So I go back up on the board the ship, and I go to the quarterdeck, and I say, please pass the word to assemble all chief petty officers on the boat deck with the command master chief. And so they do. And all the chiefs come running because they all know this is not good. They all know this is crazy. And typically our chiefs mess, we run things on the ship. But of course, we got a new XO, and this is a little bit of a new dynamic, right? And we had our plans and we were comfortable, but he was not. And that's the moral of the story for me, right? He was not quite comfortable that we were going to meet the expectation. And this is what he did to ensure we got there. But my Chiefs mess came up and like, what are we going to do? And I said, well, we're going to go down and get in the dumpster. We're going to pull all that trash out, and we're going to go through it all. And we're going to make sure that we get all the sailors' personal items back, right? We're going to get all of, and we did that. I remember going down there, all my Chiefs mess. I jumped in the dumpster. I'm chucking bags out. We're busting all the bags open. And we got rid of all the crap that we didn't need, but we made sure we got back all the passports and driver's licenses and civilian clothes because there was all that stuff in there. There was sailors' passports, driver's licenses, credit cards, cell phones, all that. Luckily, we were the only ship on the pier, and we knew where all the trash bags were, and none of it was really trash. It was really just people's stuff. And so then once we got it all out of the bags, we bagged it all back up again. We took it back on board the ship and we put it on the boat deck. That took us probably about an hour and a half to 2 hours, me and the chiefs. Now, of course, by this time of the day, the NAE award is done. So the supply chiefs are helping us. The engineer chiefs are still doing LOA, but the majority of this stuff is their sailor stuff. And so they're definitely tracking it and appreciating what we're doing. All of us took a little bit of ownership in that we felt like some of this stuff should have already been off the ship, but we were going to do this later on this night, right? It would have gotten done either way. But hey, this is how things go, right? So we put all this stuff on the boat deck, and I go down to the berthing barge. So I'm looking now for the XO. When I get down to the berthing barge on the mess decks, all my crew is down there, and it's dark outside. So it's probably, if you've been to Japan, it gets dark relatively early this time of year. So it's probably about 7 o'clock at night right now. We've had a busy day, right? Nay award day, Nay day happened today. We are now off the berthing barge. So that happened today. And now we are still doing LOA. I go down to the mess decks and I get down there, and the XO is just down there letting the crew have it. He's just giving them all basically an understanding of when he puts something out is going to happen. Now, mind you, none of the chiefs were there. We were all out taking care of the peep sailors' personal effects. Our sailors don't know where their stuff is at this time, but all the department heads are still down there, minus the chief engineer. I go down there, and as I'm walking up, the XO says, "Hey, Master Chief, do you have anything you'd like to say?" I said, "Sir, I do, but if I could talk to you off to the side for a minute before I speak." He says, "Okay." Very tall, very serious gentleman. He was one of my best friends now in the world, just so you know. But this was the beginning of our relationship. He says, "Okay." And so I take him off to the side. I said, "XO, sir, I'm about to tell these sailors that we went into the dumpster and got all their personal effects, and that all their personal effects are in the vehicle turning area. They have 48 hours to collect all their personal effects and get it off the vehicle turning area. Anything left there in the next 48 hours will get thrown away again." He was like, I could just see from his eyes, he's not happy, but I also can see that he's all right, Master Chief, do what you got to do. So I go out there and I told him, I'm going to let them all go. They've had a hard day, busy day. We're going to call it here. Right. He says, all right. So I go out there, tell them all, hey, your gear is in the VTA. This is where it's at. Go get it. And don't leave it there for the next 48 hours. Thank you very much. And let me know and your chain of command know if you're missing anything significant so we can figure out how to best properly address that. If, for example, if you lost your wallet or you lost a cell phone or whatever it was. And just so everyone knows for the story, nobody, we got it all, right? I never got any reports that anybody was missing anything significant. And so then after everyone leaves, I sit the new XO down and I say, "Sir, I love you just for the sheer fact you're my XO, right? You're my XO. I'm your command master chief. My job is to take care of you, to love you, and to work with you. We have got to make sure that we're on the same page. And my Chiefs mess would 100% would have taken care of this berthing barge. Now I can appreciate that it did not meet your timeline of 5 o'clock or 4 o'clock, but we've got to understand that this is not a good way to set a tone, especially on such an important day as today, man. When we've had such a pivotal day, we're about to we put our best foot forward on the nay. We're doing really good at LOA. Getting off the berthing barge is gonna happen, but that's a variable it's stationary. That's on us 100%. We can walk that damn thing at 2200 a night. Who cares? We'll get it done, right? And he just, all right, Master Chief. So we go see the captain. It's probably 7:30 at night, almost 8 o'clock. We get there, go see the captain, and we sit down. It's me, XO, and the CO. The CO has been doing the best he can to stay out of everyone's way while all this stuff is happening, right? I know he's going through the tail end of his command tour. And so it's very, very hard to explain. It's like ending college or ending high school or ending a significant chapter in your life where you got to be in this significant position of leadership of an entire command, of an entire crew, and you're wrapping it up. And only you really know how far it's come. I haven't been there since the beginning of his time. And he had done an XO tour and now a CO tour. But it was pretty pinnacle feeling, I'm pretty sure, because we were doing very well. The crew was doing very well. You could just feel it on the deck plates that we were doing good. But of course, he didn't know everything that happened that day. So we go up there, we sit down, and the XO says, "Sir, we're off the berthing barge. The NA award went well today, and LOA looks like it's going good. I think we're going to be okay with LOA as well." And I'm just sitting there being quiet. And the captain's like, "Okay." And the XO says, "All right, Captain, if you got nothing else for me, that's going to be it." And typically I speak and then we discuss taking off, right? But the XO just went ahead and said, "All right, Captain, I'm gonna go ahead and leave." And the captain's like, okay. He looks at me, goes, "Master Chief." And I was like, "Oh, hell no." "Oh, no, 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 no. We're gonna talk about this." I was like, because he needs to know what's just happened in case, God forbid, something comes sideways out of this and we lose some sailor's gear or something significant goes missing, whatever. He needs to know, right? And the XO sits back and just kind of takes a sigh. I was like, and I told the captain everything. And I remember the captain, he was upset. He was like, "You did what to my sailors, XO?" It was an interesting day, to say the least. People always ask me what was one of my most stressful, hardest times as being a CMC. I will tell you, it was always in between those transition periods of the XOCO turnovers and getting somebody new in one of those leadership positions that is so significant and having to learn how to work together, right? And having to learn how to work together and to understand how we're going to best make this team work. Now, I give you all this story because that was a hard leadership day for me because as great as everything was, when I had to go down there and have these tough conversations with my new XO who was going to be there for the next 18 months as the XO and then be the follow-on CO for this command. And my buddy who was the XO is coming back as, and then my outgoing CO is somebody else that I cared about. And then of course, all my chiefs mess and all my sailors, there was just a lot going on. And I had to be able to speak to all these variants of people and give them the authentic truth as to what I thought about what was happening, what we were going to do about it without throwing anybody under the bus. I'm not going to say this guy's wrong, this guy's right, this guy's perfect, this guy's not, because we're all a freaking team. But I also got to do my best to make sure that we come through this and do right by the sailors who are the ones putting in the majority of the work. And then also try to learn our lessons, right? And to teach people how to best communicate and show trust. It's probably one of the most important events in my leadership journey as I look back on it. And you know what's funny is I've got a lot of those kinds of stories because it's kind of always been my mantra to be an authentic leader. I'm not afraid of stepping up and telling someone what they need to hear. And I don't think any true leader should be afraid of that. You could be nervous about the conflict, you can be concerned about what's possibly going to come afterwards. But at the end of the day, if we're all on the same team and we all want to see the team get the best end result, we have got to be able to have candid conversations about things that really matter and that have varying perspectives, period. Right. I learned this from my dad. My dad was super authentic. He had no problem telling me his truths. He would tell me when he was tired. He would tell me when he was sad. He would tell me when he was happy. He would had no problem telling me his fears about what he was doing in life, what were his frustrations, what were his hopes, what are the areas that he wished he had found greater success. And I learned that coming up that if you don't have this code of integrity or this willingness to be honest, how can I trust you? That to me is one of the most important things. And as a sailor, there are two things that we value more than anything, and that is not stealing and not lying. Those two, if you are a thief or you're a liar, you're not going to have a very good time on board our ships because we all live in close quarters. We're all staying very near each other, and nothing is worse than a liar or a thief. It's just how it is. Standing on those principles is something a leader must be able to do. If you're not able to clearly communicate, to be honest with your people, I remember telling my chiefs, we're in the garbage can going through all the trash, that we've got to take some ownership on this too, because theoretically, there's way too much crap in these trash cans, people, right? Now, I understand that we were willing to work all night to get the job done to meet the deadline. And I appreciate that we would have gotten it done or have the duty section get it done or whatever. but we have to take some of that ownership, right? When the XO probably walked that birthing bar, saw all that crap, he probably thought, I don't want to be here till midnight tonight. So let's get it done now so we can go home earlier. And I can't fault him for that, right? And maybe we didn't have to put it in the dumpster. Maybe we could have just put it all in the ship, but whatever. Point was well taken, point was well made. And I think for all of us, that was also a turning point. Um, coming up through the Navy, the mantra that I believed into, especially as a damage controlman, was 100% ship, shipmate, self. And that is our mantra because in a casualty situation, the first thing I'm going to do is to make sure that my ship is sound, that there's no flooding, there's no fire, there's nothing that's going to cause the ship to sink. Because if the ship's sinking, then we're going to have big, big problems. So that's number one, take care of the ship. The next thing was to take care of my shipmate and to make sure that my teammates were all okay, that they were not, if they were injured, I was going to treat them as long as the environment was safe to take care of them. I was going to check on them to make sure that they were okay, they were willing to continue to fight, that they had what they needed to continue to move forward, that we were all aligned on whatever mission we're working on to make sure that we're all together. And the third priority was yourself, right? You're going to make sure that you're not broken somewhere, you're not bleeding somewhere, that you have, your eyes are working, your ears are working, your mouth is working. I mean, this is again, this checklist of things that I'm thinking of after a major hit or a major catastrophe or a major casualty on board the ship. This was our checklist and this was our mantra, right? Ship, shipmate, self. That was my main plan as a damage controlman. That was my main code of leadership. It was ship, shipmate, self. So when I became a command master chief, what people don't always know about that is that you have to give up essentially your rating that you have been with or your job field you've been with for your entire career. So for 16 years, I was essentially an engineer or a person who rose up through the ranks of damage control to become a master chief damage controlman. So I achieved the pinnacle in that job community. And then when I converted over to the command master chief program, I was essentially letting that go. And as I was thinking about, okay, what is my leadership philosophy going to be now? Am I still going to be a shipmate, self kind of a guy, which is a good place for all sailors to operate from? And I thought, if the chiefs on the ship were all shipmate, self, then what if I reverse that order so that I can help to best shore up any of the weak areas? Because we get so focused on the ship, we get so focused on taking care of other people that we're not always worried about ourselves. So I reversed it to being sailors were my first priority. And my sailors were going to be, the officers, they were going to be myself, they were going to be my chiefs, they were going to anybody, any sailor within my organization was my first priority holistically. Are they getting food? Are they getting water? Is their family okay? Do they've got safe places to sleep, to eat? All these things. And I was going to care for all of them, regardless of pay grade, because I remember thinking as a senior chief, it almost felt like nobody cared about us. Everyone expected us to be okay and take care of ourselves, but very rarely were you getting people to just, are you okay? Or because there's a lot of hours. Navy department heads, especially first tour department heads, that's one of the most stressful tours in a sailor's career, period. They are under a lot of pressure and they put themselves under a lot of pressure, especially the surface warfare types. You have to really watch them and check on them and make sure they don't do something that's going to cause themselves to possibly not be able to continue the mission. The team that you got is better than any other team you might get. I promise you, the one that you got is where you should focus your energy on training and developing and preparing and inspiring them, not just think. Because whenever I fire people, trust you me, I'll fire the hell out of some people. But when I fire them, I have no expectation of a relief. I've learned that back in my old days as running ER9 when I would fire people and my chief would say, well, you fire them, you're not going to get anybody else to take their spot. Okay. So then if I ever get a relief, it's a surprise and we calculate them into the conversation, right? But when we fire somebody else any other time, you just are unfortunately not in the position you need to be in for the team. So we're going to move you somewhere else so that you can have a better opportunity to recover and to grow. Because I don't believe in just firing somebody, at least in my organizations. I don't believe in just firing somebody and giving them nowhere else to recover, right? You got to move them and then give them somewhere else to recover to move on. So my first leadership priority is going to be the sailors. Now the second priority for me is going to be the mission, right? Now, shipmate self. Well, for me, it was sailor's mission. And the mission for the ship that I was on in particular, was to embark United States Marines. We're going to embark these United States Marines, and we're going to make them feel comfortable. We're going to make them feel like welcome, and we're going to treat them like they are the mission, right? Because I've taken Marines to places like Iraq and to overseas, and I've brought back less Marines every time. And this is what I would tell my sailors, and this is what I would tell the Marines when we would embark them. I wanted them to understand, you are the mission, you are the cargo, you are the most important part of what we're doing on board this ship. I do not want you to feel like you're just coming on board our ship or this ship and you're not a part of the crew, because you are, right? I want you to feel like you are a part, we're symbiotic to each other, and that we have got to work together. I would use that language with the sergeant majors, with the first sergeants, with all of the staff NCOs, with all of the Marines, all the Marine Corps leaders. That was the energy I wanted to take to the end. When I was on the aircraft carrier, I didn't even know it back then, but I was doing the same thing with the air wing, right? We had to give them all their gas masks and all their damage control gear. And I would tell the sailors on my division, like, look, this aircraft carrier is no good without that dang air wing. We are a team, so we have got to welcome them on board. And I know how it can feel sometimes when you're on the ship, and as an engineer, there's two kinds of people on ships: there's engineers and there's riders. But when you see anything that those awesome ships do, I promise you, it takes the entire crew. My job as the CMC was to help everyone be in love with the mission, everyone to feel passionate about the mission, and understand how their role on the team directly affected mission accomplishment. And if you're not doing something that affects mission accomplishment, then you're not, we need to get you better aligned. That was my target, right? My last one was patriotism, right? Pride in our country, pride in our flag, pride in why we are all doing the thing that we're doing here, which is serving our nation on board this ship. It's a lot of work, it's a lot of time, it's a lot of stress, it's a lot of pressure. You don't know any given day when it's going to go sideways on you. Whether it's a ship having a fire in port, or whether it's missiles inbound and you're bracing for shock. You just don't know. And so I wanted my sailors to have a connection to love of country, and to feel like they were patriotic, and to recognize them for being patriots, whether they knew it or not. They were just, it's implied by the fact that you're in the uniform or you're doing the thing. If you're aligned with the mission, you're patriotic. And then giving that energy to them of, this is America. I remember we were doing a FONOP, which is a freedom of navigation operation in the South China Sea one time. We were going near some of those man-made islands that China had built in the South China Sea. It was our job to do a freedom of navigation operation. And the captain was like, Master Chief, we should fly the biggest American flag that we got. And I was just like, hell yeah, let's do that. Right. Now, eventually we got talked to about that, because maybe it was a little too much. But again, those are the little things that we wanted to do to show passion for being Americans and pride in our country. Now, there is a balance between being braggadocious or being too crazy. But I wanted the sailors to be proud of their country. I wanted the sailors and the Marines on board my ship to be proud to be Americans, and to identify with that energy. And not only were you an American, but you're an American wearing the uniform of a fighting person. On ships, our uniform for fighting is coveralls or fire protective garments or whatever it may be. Our mission was to move these Marines to wherever the government said, and then get them ashore so they can go out and do their thing. And then we kept the ship whole so we could take them home. Right. And very, very important. And I think that as a leader, you've got to understand your priorities and what are your mantras. To this day, I still leverage this sailor's mission patriotism. Now it's more along the lines of my cadets. Now our mission at the battalion, right? And my mission at the battalion is very simple. I want to grow future Americans that want to contribute to our society and they want to graduate high school and have real plans for life after high school. Simple, simple, right? But the first part, the cadets, same thing as before. I want them to be okay, healthy, happy, whole, and doing good in all their classes and doing good with their parents. And then the third one is, and to teach them to be patriotic. I want them to be proud to be Americans, proud to be a part of our community, proud to be a part of the high school, proud to be a part of all these different things. And then between these three areas, we can grow future citizens that are going to do great things and be strong leaders. And what I love about it is the mission doesn't stop. When I take over new leadership positions, I have a very simple strategy. And I've been taking over leadership positions for so long. When I got to the USS Ogden in 2003, that's arguably my first real leadership job. When I took over as the DCPO work center supervisor, then the LPO, then the LCPO. When I went to a float training group, San Diego, and ended up becoming the carrier team leader for the damage control team and leading this team of 10 subject matter experts on board an aircraft carrier to assess all the damage control and all their training. That was a huge team that I had to take care of and lead. Then I went from there to the George Washington. I led the damage control organization on board that ship. I had 1,000 watchstanders that worked for me, from the GW to Norfolk at the Surface Warfare Officer School, where I was teaching the Senior Enlisted Damage Control School. I was teaching all the damage control officers for all the ships on the East Coast. These were all chiefs and officers or senior enlisted first class petty officers and even international students. From there, I went to the Ashland, and I was the command master chief. From there to Seventh Fleet staff, working for Vice Admiral Sawyer and helping re-embark the Seventh Fleet staff from being ashore for 3-4 years before I got there to being back on board a ship that a lot of them had never even been on before, and getting them back embarked on board the Blue Ridge and working with the Blue Ridge to figure out, well, this we are the mission, right? It was almost a reverse of my time on Ashland. On Ashland, I was embarking Marines. Reverse, now I was getting embarked as Seventh Fleet staff and working with the ship's crew to understand that we were the mission, but how could we best work together as symbiotic? And then Naval Base Guam as the command master chief through all those years. And then finally here at the schoolhouse at Vanguard High School, I've always used very similar processes when I get there. I was actually talking to my mom about this last night because she's taken over a new role as a leader. She's gotten herself into upper management now. And I was giving her the steps that I take. And that's what I'm going to share with you right now. The first part about what I do, and I do this as well for my leadership consulting business, right? So if you ever come talk to me, hey, Gary, we would like for you to come do an assessment of our management, our leadership of our team, and then give us a recommendation. This is exactly what I'm going to do. Number one, I'm going to come in and I'm going to assess it. I'm going to ask for all your data, right? We're going to look at everything that's pertinent to your organization and anything that's relevant to your people. So I'm going to ask you for those metrics, that data. Anything worth doing in this life is worth tracking. If you guys didn't know that, now you know. Anything worth doing in this life is worth tracking. If you're not tracking the metric, then do you really care? That's just my opinion. You have got to know where you've been so you can project where you're going. If you call me up and say, hey, Gary, I feel like I'm having management problems, leadership problems. I feel like my team could use some training or guidance. I'm going to always agree with you because I think training is the number one thing you can do to develop your people is to train them. I promise you, everybody needs training. And in order for your team to be a good team, they need training. But I want to make sure you're getting relevant training to your team's challenges. Anybody can just pistol whip and come up with some random things and throw a bunch of things out in the air, and they all might be somewhat relevant. But instead, I would like to find out what your team is actually looking for, or what are they needing. So we would, number one, pull all the data. I'd sit down with you. We would brainstorm real quick. Here's all the metrics we could be looking at, onboardings, offboardings, people that quit. Just we would get all the data, right? For me, I would look at like promotions, I would look at evaluations, I would look at surveys, I would listen to different people. I would have interviews with people. For example, when I go to a ship, I would sit down with all the chiefs one on one within the first 2 weeks. All of them. Just book them, Sit down, talk to them. I would talk to the first class petty officers. I would talk to the JOs, the officers, the department heads, and I would be receiving all the information. Then I would look for trends. Do I have things that are popping up multiple areas? We like to use focus groups. I like to use focus groups. Go into a focus group, let everybody know this is non attributional, which means no one's going to be in trouble for what we talk about in here. And then I'll start throwing grenades off in the room and we'll see how the conversation goes. And typically the conversation will go well because I'm the one throwing the grenades. But now I'm getting the feedback from everybody as to what they think. And I'm doing that to validate typically what I found during the data assessment or through the individual conversations. And once I have that validation, that's what I can start coming up with my recommendations to you as to what we would do about it. And once I give you the recommendations, here's the most important thing about the recommendations. When I would do this on the ships, on the carriers, we would go on board, we'd assess the whole carrier's damage control organization, the training, the qualifications, the drills, the material, everything. Then we would run a bunch of drills, training groups. We'd see how it all would go. And if they didn't pass, then we would give them a recommendation as to what they would do going forward. This is where I learned that recommendations cannot be enduring. Too many people are trying to get government contracts that last for freaking 8 months, 10 months, a year, 2 years. That's not my strategy. My strategy is to get us done as soon as possible, right? For two reasons. Number one, because I know you got a job to do. I know you got business to take care of, and you don't need this enduring churn of your people always going through therapy as they're trying to get past it and move on with life. We need to figure out the issues. We need to communicate. We need to lay it all to bed, and we need to get everybody moving forward. Okay. And secondly, I'm freaking busy. I don't got time to be doing that for a year. I'm going to help you with your organization and your team. Plus, I got to take care of my own family, my own things in life. Plus, I'm running my own team with 185 people that are all doing great things 11 months out of the year. So we need a finite plan. And that's what I would give you. I would say, look, sir, ma'am, here's who we are, CEO, somebody. Here's my recommendation for a 30-day get well plan. And we're going to be aggressive about this. But by the end of that 30 days, we're going to have taught people how to recognize the problems that we've already identified. We're going to communicate through all of them and resolve them. We're going to teach them all how to communicate with each other by using common training and words. And then we're going to identify ways to go forward. People say, but Gary, then how are they going to keep paying you money afterwards? If I was doing it for the money, this would not be the place I'd be. I'm not doing it for the money. I'm just doing it because I love working with people. I love helping people. I love fixing organizations that are struggling with their management or their leadership. And that's my gift. So this is almost essentially my give back. That's why I love working with the kids so much. This is why I'm offering my services at super discounted prices because I'm just enjoying helping, right? But number two, I will also let you know that it never hurts to get yourself reassessed every 6 months to 2 years. And maybe if you liked working with me that one time, you'll contact me again in the future. Hey, great. And if you don't, no harm, no foul. That's how it goes, right? And life goes on. I tell all of you this because I think you have to have a strategy. I think having outside eyes is God, it's so important. It's so important. When I was on the ship or when I was a CMC on the ship, I always did my best to listen to the people that had the outside perspective that did not get stuck in the middle of it and start falling in love with the problem, right? Because we can have this thing where we fall in love with the problem and we completely lose the sight picture for what's going wrong, right? And then having some outside perspective is a great learning opportunity for you and your teams. And I will tell you, when I got to the ROTC battalion, it was the exact same thing. I got there, two instructors had left. It was me and the commander and the master sergeant who left on me 4 months later. So now it's just me. I've got all these kids looking to me to help lead them through this chaos. And they get really attached to us as their instructors. So when the master sergeant just left on them, plus the two previous instructors had left the year before, they were really hurt. So I had to not only rebuild that trust, I had to get to know all of them, but I had to forecast the vision as to where we were going to go and why it was in their best interest to want to be involved with this organization, right? And how did I do it? Y'all, I'm telling you, I assessed the organization. I trained everybody up, made sure that we all knew what we were doing. I got us through in a finite period of time. I got them operating as different teams, as different groups, in different parts of the organization. And then I reassess and we keep on going. But now here we are. This next school year will be my seniors that are coming up, or my freshmen, my first year. My first year as an ROTC instructor, we were last place in every competition we ever took part in. We barely had enough people to compete. Second year, we qualified for state, which was surprising for us. We were still last place on a lot, but it was not where I wanted to be. Last school year, my third year, it came together. At least for the drill team that I take care of, we were out of 20 teams, we were typically ranging between right around 10th place, so middle of the pack. We didn't just qualify for state, but we knew we were going to qualify for state. My first year, we did 2 drill comps. Last year, we did 3 drill comps. This next year, we're going to do 6 drill competitions. And I'm doing that because my seniors really want to, and they only get one senior year. The CO, the XO, the master chief of the battalion, the ops officer, the chief staff officer, all these kids who put in so many hours for this team. I mean, we were at the basic leadership training camp last week at Camp Landing. Tomorrow we're at a drill camp down in Crystal River. These kids are putting hours on their summer vacation to improve this team, plus communicating offline, plus planning for the upcoming year. They only get 1 year to be in command or to have this year. So I've got to make sure I give them the energy to best support them, while also helping them to remember they've got to go to school, they've got to enjoy their high school experience. And man, it's a tough time period, because as soon as the drill season is over, then they start to really get sad, because then it becomes the end of their high school experience, right? But it's also exciting because they're moving on to the rest of their lives. Truth be told, this is what every leader should want for their teams: to see them develop, to see them improve, to see them grow, to see them peak, and to see them begin to transition. Whether that's within your organization or not, it shouldn't matter. Because if you're constantly feeding into the people, there will be more people. My favorite leaders are the ones that manage to lead other leaders, and then the other leaders choose to follow that first person. We all know we could lead. We all know we could do it, but I'm going to choose to follow this person into the fire or into the fight through this thing called life, right? That's very important. So right now I've got a team full of leaders in my senior class. Any one of them could be in charge and be okay. And that's a great place for us to be. And this is my goal for helping you guys as we're talking about leadership development, organizational leadership management, and improving things, especially in Ocala. I don't mind doing things virtually. I love working technology. I don't mind helping people anywhere out in the world. If you contact me, I'll definitely love to work with you. But I really want to serve my community, because it's going to make everything better for my students, who are my first priority. My students, my cadets, my family are my first priority. The better I can make my community, the better they're going to have a good place to grow up and to experience life. So that will feed into my mission, which is to grow these young Americans into quality leaders that can graduate high school, have real plans for life after high school, achieve their goals, do things they never thought possible. Right. And then hopefully through all of that, they can be proud to be not only Americans, they can be proud believers, they can have faith, you have to believe in something. I really appreciate the time to share this with you all today. It's one of my favorite. I'm really enjoying this feeding, this giving energy to the world. I love training. I love working with people. I've had so many experiences in life that I feel like it's my job to share that with the people. And I'm trying to also get the network of in Ocala, in Gainesville, in North Central Florida to know who I am and what value I can bring to their team. And then for my sailors or cadets or anybody that watches these videos, I just want them to hear that I'm saying the same messages consistently. I said the same things when I was in the military, Now, I'm saying it in the ROTC world, and I will continue to say this because I know these strategies work, right? This is my gift, and this is what I've been called to do is to work with people and helping their organizations to best develop the teams that they need to best satisfy the goals of the leader, right? So I really do thank everybody for everything. If you like this video, definitely please subscribe to the YouTube channel, like the video. That'd be great. Lets me know if it's a good thing or not. Share the video, share it with people that you know. That would really be helpful as we continue to grow. I don't know ultimately where this is going to go. Like I said, I'm not really doing this for the money. For me, money is not my prime motivator. I love working with people. I love to see people improve. I'm not naive. I care about paying the bills, right? But hey, if I can figure out a way someday to leverage this content to make some money back to at least pay for being able to do that, that's a win, right? And if I can make more money to be able to then donate more money to the causes that I think are important, that's a win. So, I'll continue to keep growing and keep doing things. Ocala Inspired is a leadership development event that I'm putting on here in Ocala. It's July 25th. It's at the Ocala Community Center. It is a in-person leadership development opportunity. And the idea behind this, and I used to do this when I was in the service as well, it's to give people that are interested in the same things that I am, which is improving the world for everybody through leadership, through communication, through networking, through personal development, to give them all a place to go to have these kinds of conversations. The team we've got coming to speak is freaking amazing, right? We got Coach Hart, who's currently the head football coach at Trinity Catholic, former NFL player, owns his own gym. He's out there doing great things. He's going to talk about stress management. We've got Pastor Mark Cummins, who's my pastor. This is who I go to listen to him lead me through this journey of faith. Mark also has his own leadership development organization and brand that he brings. He's going to be talking about high road learning. I got Mr. Elgin Kerlock, who's another one of my mentors here in Ocala, Florida. And Elgin is a very successful leader and businessman with Review Business Strategies. He's going to be talking about how to take the data and make better decisions going forward. Got Lee Byers coming from Seventh Level Leadership Solutions. She's going to be talking about positive intelligence and how to best leverage. Remember, positivity, you have got to be able to leverage positive in the mindset of your people so they cannot be so obsessed on the negative. And then the reverse of that is I've got Miss Consuela Shaw coming, and she's going to be talking about emotional intelligence and how to best manage so you don't get pulled down by the negative stuff. And then finally, you got Mr. Miles McConico from Veterans Helping Veterans. And he's an Army veteran. He's going to be talking about how to manage yourself in a digital world. And then, you got me. I am going to be the person who's choreographing, who's coordinating it, because honestly, this is my platform. I don't need to stand up in front of you all talk. I'm always willing to do it. I'm supposed to talk about hybrid learning environments, but this right here for me is a hybrid learning environment. I care more that you get to hear what their messages are and that you can understand what they're trying to give to you and you can best receive some of that information. It's going to be on July 25th, 9:30 until 1 o'clock, right? The venue came back to us and said that we could not serve actual meals. So we will have food there, like coffee and some snacks, but there's not going to be an exaggerated amount of food. And the idea is we'll get there, everyone will get there 9:30. We'll go through all the speakers. We'll probably do a panel at the end, and then we'll socialize, right? And if you're wanting to stick around and talk, we'll talk. And if everybody wants to get out of there and go get some food, we're done. And then we'll go ahead and we'll plan for something else in the future to get these groups together. I believe that when leaders come together to talk about opportunities, what we're all going to find at a minimum is community, right? If you have not yet registered, please go to wiseleadershipsolutions.com, go to Ocala Inspired. I'm dropping the registration just at $35. So if anybody's already paid the 50, we're going to give you back some money on the backside. Money that's coming in, just so you know, after all of our bills are paid, we're going to donate the leftover funds to either Church of Hope or to Church of Hope here in Ocala. And I'm looking at Cut Different as well for our nonprofit donation. So those are the two areas I'm planning to donate the leftover funds once we pay all of our bills. Um, Please register. Please come out. Hit me up offline if you want to get involved. Thank you all very much for your time. I love doing this stuff. I'm looking forward to seeing wherever this road goes. I've only got another month or so till the school year starts and I deploy again. This is what the school year is for me. It's a deployment. And so I'm looking forward to enjoying this next month. I've got some really exciting interviews coming up for my podcast. Some of my former shipmates and teammates. That'll be a lot of fun and we'll get some good content out there. So thank you all very much for listening to the sound of my voice. Y'all have a great day out there, and I'll talk to you later.
And I know I was born for this. I know